Yeah. All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and all you kind of space cowboys. This is a brand new episode of Pink Buzz, and back by popular demand, one of our biggest stars ever is back. I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself. We have the one and only
Nick.
Or better known as EPHK on socials, right? That's your working.
And all the books I sign everything.
Yeah.
EPHK is just easier. And
Mm.
yeah, EPHK. I rarely say it though. I like writing it, but
well, it's kind of like my graffiti friends. Like they'd all have their names and stuff, but like when you talk to them, like they were, Steve or Chris. They weren't. You didn't actually call them like Deviant One or something like that.
It's so weird. Hey, Deviant One. Like what the?
it's pretty much exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Sequential's in the house. How's it going? Yeah.
But I have to say, I love your montage that you did before, and I know for a fact you didn't have a lot of time to make it.
Well, I have more or less I have a template for each different kind of segment we do. So now that's like the creator one where the gun shoots the name, and then I put together stuff, and I might change the effects on it, but it's like a certain number of images. I pretty much have a template, so it's pretty quick. It's just going to find the images and plugging them in. So I got it down in a pretty good system. So it used to take me a lot longer. Now I can slap them together in less than an hour and send it to Johnny.
It's been a while. What episode is this?
61.
61, yeah.
Of the official show, we have a couple different ones. So like we have over 100 episodes in total, but like this is 61 of like the main series.
You have the something bites too.
Yeah,
and
bites and then pink spots, and then we have one called Hot Flash, but we only did one episode of that so far.
Yeah. Hot Flash is like when people send us advanced reviews and stuff like that, or so we go and we just do a quick. It's like a half an hour, 20 minutes to a half an hour. We usually pick a couple books. We do quick reviews and put it out there, and we got it not bad. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then we have something we just started like maybe 6 months ago is the Pink Distortion. The first Friday of every month we do a music episode. We invite a bunch of people on and talk about music, so that one's pretty fun too.
So you do this every night?
No,
twice a week.
Twice a week, maybe sometimes 3 if we were feeling frisky.
Or work permits.
Yeah.
You got to invite me more often. I've been waiting for a year.
Yeah, man, I feel really bad about that. Like you were.
No, I'm joking. But yeah, I'm willing to come back whenever you guys want me. But
nice.
Yeah, just let us know when you're available. I mean, that's the kind of thing is we like to accommodate y'all when you come on.
I mean, if I don't have an appointment at the dentist, we're good.
Yeah. Well, don't feel bad. The whole fucking month of April, man, has been a nightmare for scheduling. Almost nothing worked out like it was supposed to. I usually do like a little calendar with all like the pictures and dates, and this month I was like, too many things got switched places and stuff, and I was like, screw it. So, yeah. But May seems to be pretty solid, so I think I'll do another one for May. But
give it another chance.
It happens. It happens. I mean, yeah, we're just like we try to only book one creator per week. That way, if things shuffle, we can bump. Like we did a Dark Horse episode, and we bumped it twice for like rescheduling creators and stuff like that. So we're pretty flexible, so it's not the end of the world. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch that one. I don't watch them all. I gotta watch the Dark Horse one. I'm interested.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know how good it was, but I had a good time doing it.
Oh, it was good, man. We covered. I don't even remember all the books we talked about. We talked about quite a few. So,
like what they have done or what they're doing right now.
Both.
Yeah.
And what they've done. Yeah, we kind of talked about how they started, and then covered some of our favorite books throughout time, and then kind of went over what they're doing now and what they've got coming out, and them being owned by Embracer Group and stuff like that a little bit.
Yeah, I heard things about. I don't know what that means or anything, but I remember like being a kid in the 90s and half my comics were Dark Horse.
Dark Horse. Mm-hmm.
They just They're just kind of doing a little bit more video game stuff so far, which they kind of always have done video game comics anyways. So
yeah, I think they're switching out
I was looking at
their movie stuff with the video game stuff. Yeah.
You mean IP that they make comics of? Okay,
yeah. Because they were big with like the sci-fi stuff, right? Like Predator, Alien, Terminator, RoboCop. So they lost all those licenses. So I think they're probably just going to switch it out. Like now they're doing A Witcher is one that's pretty popular. So I think they're switching out those licenses with like more like video game. They did Cyberpunk.
They do Overwatch, a couple others.
Overwatch, yeah, they do a few different video game ones.
So anything, right? They'll just. I mean, a lot of IDW is full of it too. Is it?
Yeah, IDW. And Boom has quite a few licensed titles too. They got Buffy and Firefly.
It must be so much money, huh? Because I mean, what do you take a franchise like that, and what do? They just add stories, and they just add they pay a percentage to the owner, and they just I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys follow any of these series? Like, are you into or?
No, I've never really read too many licensed comics. I read like the Alien stuff when I was a kid, and maybe a couple of the Terminator comics that Dark Horse put out. Some of the Star Wars stuff, but for the most part nowadays, no, I don't really read any licensed comics. Like they don't really tackle any properties that mean a lot to me.
That's
what it is, right? They're banking on the property, not what they're making, but
a built-in fan base, right? So they're hoping that fan base will come out. Yeah, will come out. And like I was at the record shop the other day, and Sumerian is putting out a comic based on Dillinger Escape Plan's last album. They're adapting a comic to that album. And I was talking to the guy at the comic shop, at the record shop. And he's like, "Oh, I think I'll probably go pick that up just to see." Like he doesn't collect comics, but so they're incorporating their bands. Like we were wondering what they were going to do when they first bought out or partnered with Behemoth. We're like, what's going to happen there? Are they going to actually make comics that are influenced by the music they put out and stuff? And they're actually, I think this will be the first one, right, Johnny? That's actually directly tied to
one of their bands. Yeah.
I mean, it could give interesting results.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think isn't it just a money thing? It's like the movies, they're making movies from everything, like what's the last one I saw the previews for? Like Barbie, or it's like anything. It's like a sure shot, I guess, from a producer's point of view. You got your gazillions and you're trying to multiply them. It's a sure shot because even if the movie sucks, the fans have to go see it. I remember the first Transformer movie. I was tempted to go see it. I loved Transformers when I was a kid. They all suck, but
I didn't mind the first. I didn't mind the first two. The first two were okay.
They were fun, but they're not like great fucking stories, right?
No.
You went there because it was Transformers. You didn't go there because the writer did something cool.
No, like Bumblebee was all right as well.
Bumblebee was the best one. Like, yeah.
I stopped before that, but there was a movie just you're saying there's a movie just Bumblebee, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. It's not bad.
I'm trying to quit all that stuff.
It's really hard. I hear you.
It's bad for your brain, but it's like McDonald's though. You get a craving sometimes.
Yeah. So man, it's been a little over a year. Last time we talked, you were in the process of moving from Germany back to France. So how did that move go? I know your online shop was shut down for a bit because of that. For you to go move and get set back up, so you can mail stuff out to people and
put them in a container. Trust a guy to drive them down in a few months later, and then gives you the time at the new location to find the place to put the fucking container.
Yeah.
So no, it all worked out. No, it worked out great. I'm very happy I did move. Oh, I'm very happy here. And he said back to France. The last time I lived here, I was 16.
Oh, okay.
So
going back home, more or less.
Not really home. I feel like everywhere I felt like I'm an immigrant. Like I don't like I'm in, but I understand everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just the language, like the looks and the ways of doing things. I understand them all, like it never left. But I still don't feel like I'm from here. It's weird.
So where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Montreal?
Between Montreal and France, but not where I am in France. But it's just
Okay.
that I left when I was 17, 18, 19. I'm 44 now.
Hmm.
And all those years I spent them elsewhere. I lived in Denmark. I lived in Hong Kong. I lived in
Hmm.
Taiwan. I lived in Germany for 4 years. I didn't live in France or in Canada for most of my life.
Yeah.
I just traveled and yeah.
Which is cool. I
Well,
mean,
which I love. I love. It's just I'm happy now because I don't know if it's because I'm getting older. I don't want to live in a backpack anymore. I've been slowing
yeah,
down for the last
yeah,
few years, but also what I want to do, what I waited my entire life to do, is my fucking comics. And
yeah.
to do comics, you need a big table. You need to
Mm,
be stable. You can't be. And I drew every day, but in trains on a sketchbook, half on my backpack. It's great. I have sketchbooks that are full. I got a ton of them, but you want to make comics. I want to have a stack of my best pens, and I want to have a stack of my best paper, the computer that works. You know what I mean? That's what I
yeah.
want now.
Well,
I'm nesting.
as a comic creator and a comic fan, like which has a better scene? Would you say Germany or France? Like for
Oh, easy, France.
France. I would have
Easy.
guessed France
yeah,
as well.
well, no,
Not to.
Germany has some good comics and so a pretty
I've
decent scene.
discovered a few good things in Germany. It's just not in the culture, and I think it comes. Maybe I'm being an idiot, but I think it comes. Have you ever seen anything written in German? One of
Yeah.
my best friend makes comics. He's Austrian, speaks German, and his comics are in German. And he will have one word in a bubble cut 4 times. Like it's not made for that. It must be so hard to try to squeeze.
Mm.
So that has to be an impairment. But yeah.
So-
We go through each other's comics and we edit each other's comics on the first draft. And
Mhm.
his dialogue sometimes when he does comics in German, there are bubbles with I'm not joking. One word cut 4 times. It's
Mm.
ridiculous.
I see that in pirated manga, like
Mm.
with the English translation. We'll do that sometimes. Have the word broken up.
So we have sequential here. He's curious to know
Oh,
what you were doing in Germany, but I think maybe give people a little rundown on just kind of how you got to where you are, because I know you did, like, if you read your bio on Image, they kind of touch on a little bit of your past if people go there and read it. So maybe you could give sequential and the other people a little, like, just a quick brief history on how you got to this point in comics in your life.
more
Yeah.
meat to the
Yeah,
story, you
yeah,
mean?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, like, what do you mean? like,
Uh, well, I know you, like, in Montreal, you worked at the comic shop for a little bit, right?
Captain
Yeah, you
Quebec.
worked at Captain Quebec for a while, so already right there, you were working at a store that sold comics. So obviously, that's something you're interested in. Since, and in your bio, it said you were always a doodler. Since you were a little kid, you always drew. So I mean,
And growing up in the two, because I grew up between the two, right? I grew up in
mhm,
France and in Canada. And so in France, everybody had comics, but it was in
mhm,
Canada with North American comics, with American comics, that I decided, okay, no, I got to be serious about this. This is what I want to do.
mhm.
And I think usually I hear similar stories from other creators that they all kind of at some point ended up working in a comic book shop,
Okay,
and
yeah,
that I hear that a lot. I'm not
yeah,
saying everyone, and usually that's where something happened.
mhm,
You know, and the only way, I mean, for me, it's always been about like, okay, like stories. For me, it's adventures. I want adventures, but it's also possibilities. I think some kind of people are scared of possibilities. Like if there's too much choice, that it scares some people.
mhm,
I think I'm the opposite. The more possibilities, the more choices, it excites me. Like I
mhm.
love that. It makes me happy. And when you go into a bookstore, comic book store, and you look at all the spines, Captain Quebec were shelved like this, where you would have the new comics flat, like a normal comic book
Yeah,
shop. But the
yeah,
whole back of the store was like all you can see are the spines. They were
mhm,
all stashed. And just still thinking about it makes me so happy, because every one of those millimeters is an entire world. You know what I mean? Like especially when you don't know too much, you get in, you discover. And Captain Quebec took a lot of chances. I remember there was a lot of weird shit that I discovered in those bookstores.
Yeah.
And just that these little spines, there's thousands of them, and any one of them is like an adventure, is like a cool world that you could find, and anything could be on those pages. And that just
that's cool. And then, like, we touched on it last time you were on, how you didn't go to school, you're self-taught, right? You just love drawing and
art,
stuff.
you mean?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So you taught yourself and you touched on it on your Patreon a little bit, how you love, like, the burgeoning of the internet, because everyone was sharing everything with everyone, and it allowed you to learn a lot of stuff and pick up tips from other people.
I was a
And
bit late on that, but for me it was the 90s, like late 90s for me is when when the internet was kind of, it wasn't new anymore. I was late to it, but it was still everyone was just sharing everything for free, right? Like even code or whatever, I don't know how that works, but people were just like, oh, do this. Like everything was just, and chat rooms were just like full of free tips and free stuff, and that is very empowering too, when you're starting in a world and you're discovering all these things, and then you discover that there's all these other people out there that are also like interested in the same thing, and then you get to share it. It's like
get to connect with people maybe normally you wouldn't have, because
but seeing
it
that,
opens up a lot of doors. Yeah,
I remember being like, this is crazy. And I'm talking about like like, are we going to see the picture one day? And then, oh, there's a problem with the JPEG, little question mark. Sorry, you can't see.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And that made me happy, because it was like this whole world out there. Now we all have this in fucking 4K in our pockets. So it's not as exciting now for someone growing up like this, but it was very, I see it. I saw a lot of that in Taiwan too, like where they kind of, I'm generalizing, but they kind of like got stuck in the 90s, but in a cool way. Where a lot of things, I saw a lot of things where whatever was happening, but with the technology of the 90s, they went as far as they could, but then got stuck there, like I'm generalizing, but like I remember, silly things like, those cards where you have like a baseball player and you can see what are those called? Yeah, and you can have. I've seen crazy ones of those in Taiwan. Like they continued this technology. We all gave it up, right? That was just like a fun thing. But I saw these where they would have like a full 3 seconds at 24 frames a second.
Okay.
Or there was these movies that you could watch on your thing, but they were 3D with color glasses, but on a screen, right? So we all saw that. But now we have 3D, real 3D. But I mean, real. It's like a different. I like this. I like this mix of eras, I guess, and not to bring it back to Harpy, but that's a bit what Harpy is too, like this weird.
Well, actually, that's kind of introducing it on the show. We talked a little bit off air. You want to kind of explain Harpy to the folks?
It's hard to explain, but that part, I guess, I rewatched. You know the show on Netflix, Maniac.
No.
Yeah. Oh. So someone said no. You have to watch that. You're gonna love it.
Okay.
I rewatched it lately. It's from 2018. What's his name? Patrick Somerville wrote it. I think ran it. I loved that show. It's a great show, but I hadn't seen it since it came out, and I saw it again recently, and I was like, this is unconsciously, it's not the same as Harpy, but it's that same idea of like a future, as far as we could imagine a future. Like in Harpy, it's 2062. But if we saw it from the 90s,
that's kind of a good look at it.
Yeah, the colors are fantastic. I love your palette. I mean,
thank you. I went nuts with it. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. But so there's screens everywhere because it's the future, but they're all, what are those called? Cathodic screens, the bulbs.
The rear projection.
Yeah, there's no flat screens, right? Because it's the 90s. That doesn't exist yet. So it's 2060. It's the future. There's screens it's like kind of like Blade Runner. There's screens
Mhm.
everywhere, and everything is square. None of the, and I really wanted to put no one's read the book. It doesn't exist yet. I can't talk about it like that. But there's a lot of emphasis on that weird technology, on that mix of eras, and I think it fits really well. And Maniac, the TV show, has that this weird future according to the 80s.
Yeah, you don't see that aesthetic anymore of like they used to do in sci-fi movies when we were kids, where there would just be like a stack of TVs like as a crucifix or something, and yeah, they don't do that. I guess you really couldn't pull it off with flat screens though, like you said. Like it only really worked with the old rear projection style boob tubes.
Also, just socially now, we all have phones. That means everybody can be joined at any time.
Yeah, the TV doesn't have the relevance that it used to.
Also, just the phone, the payphone doesn't exist anymore. You can't. There's no excuse. You have to make up an excuse to not be able to reach someone. Like if you're in a movie and you can't call this person, now you can just call that person, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you have to come up with there's no signal, or my battery's dead. You have to find an excuse now because there's no one on earth that doesn't have a phone. Like, why don't you just call them? There's a monster in the house. Just text them. There's a monster in the house.
Yeah, straight up. It kind of takes a lot out of a lot of storytelling. Like,
it must have. I guess we've adjusted now, but I remember the first times they started showing on screens what people are texting each other in the movie, right?
Have a little bloop and have it pop up.
Now they're all doing it. It's a good way of doing it, but I'm just saying, like, it changed a lot, and I just wanted to go back to fuck that. That's not what my story's about. I'm gonna go back. It is in the future, but nobody has phones. That's end of story. There's no reason. It's the future if the 90s imagined it, and no one has phones.
Oh, it's your world too, right? It's a fictional world, so you can make it however you want, right? It doesn't have to reflect exactly the way we think the future is going to go. You can make it up in your head however you want it to be.
And that's what I like in stories that I consume, movies or comics, the stuff with no explanation. That's just the way it is. On this planet, people have to eat this stuff. That's it. We don't need to go in details of the science of how they grow and whatever.
Right.
That's a different kind of science fiction, and it bores the hell out of me. I think it kills stories. The more rules, that's not what the story is about.
Sci-fi. Yeah.
But are you I'm having a lot of fun with my fake Star Trek stuff, but the next generation Star Trek stuff, some episodes are like insane with fake science, and you could feel it that the people who wrote that episode, they needed to justify themselves because there's like a ton of hardcore fans that have the manual at home and they know.
Yeah, they'll bust it out and
they'll call you out. They'll call the writers out if they make one little mistake. Yeah,
dilithium crystals don't work that way.
Exactly. And they can shit on them live on Twitter while they're watching the show now.
Yeah. So, Harpy, man, your main character is Gunny. Is that her name? Is that it?
So
Gunny.
Yeah. So it's such a Gunny is the easy way of saying it. She's that's her butt.
Yep.
Lethal Weapon opening. I like it. Here's some saxophone playing in the background. Yeah,
definitely. That book also has that butt. But not too much. You'll see. Sadly, not soon enough, but you'll see soon. I still got to find it a home, but it's many layers. It's complicated. The story is I think it's a solid thread. It's just I'm being really personal with it. Like I was telling you before we went on, I'm finding out that it's a lot harder to pitch than I thought. When I start a comic, I sit down, let's just do it, But now that I have to sell it, this is a complicated one. And so there's many layers and in my head and I finished the first book. There's 72 pages. I read them. It works. I made it work. But how to explain it in words is very hard. And I'm terrified right now of saying something I shouldn't because there are huge twists. I love stories that have, I don't know how to say this, but a big. I like loops. I like stories that well planned stories. I'll just say, but it's. I'm terrified of saying something I should, because I really like it when people discover it when they get it. You know,
Would you say that this book kind of has a noir type flair? Is it kind of like a noir mystery?
definitely there's. It's very dark. I'm touching on a lot of weird, dark subjects, but at the same time, it's. I have this humor about it. You know, one of the issues that I'm having pitching it is that everybody in it is an asshole. And I think it's hilarious. It makes I the main character is an asshole. We and I and I've succeeded, I think, because the few people that have read it so far, it works. The main character is an asshole, but we root for her. You know, she's but all the other characters are assholes too, and I love it. I think it's so funny, and not funny, haha, but it makes me smile. There's a lot of great, funny situations, but it's dark, it's rough, it's heavy, and it's but it's not. Yeah.
But I mean, that's not a bad thing, because if you go on social media, 90,
Oh, it's nowhere
95,
near as
90,
bad.
95% of the people are assholes, whether it's for a good or bad cause. You know, like
I think
everyone
you
has
need
an
to check your
opinion.
math. 95. That's the kind of low, Joe.
Don't
I'm
ever
just
read the comments, right? Never
yeah.
read the comments.
So I'm like, you know,
Picture of an owl. Look how cute he is. 3 comments down is like Holocaust this, and what
Yeah.
the fuck is wrong with people? Nowhere. The comments nowhere. Don't
yeah.
read them.
You should be able to draw an
anyways.
owl because you're not an owl yourself, something like that.
Exactly. So
But I mean,
no,
you're
Harpy is nowhere near as dark as the comments anywhere on the internet.
yeah. But I mean, you're pitching this to publishers. First, like you said, you're in the process of talking with Image at the moment, because you already have a working relationship with them from your previous book, Muafalis. So you already have a bit of a working relationship with them. So you're in the process right now, the burgeoning stages of pitching to them. But I mean, quality wise, I mean, no one can.
Quality wise, look at this.
Yeah, I mean, they're not taking a chance on the visual quality of your book, that's for sure. Like, I mean, it's spot on. Every
You're saying you
panel is
like it.
beautiful. Yeah,
Okay,
I
you're
mean,
saying
it's like every panel is quality artwork. I mean, visually, it's like flawless visually, right?
that's the
Like,
first thing they
there's
wrote
no
back.
problem. There's no problem there. Like, visually, this book will sell visually for sure, without a doubt. Like, I mean, a blind
Thank
person
you.
can see it's beautiful, right? So, I mean, so like
Thank
you
you.
say, it's pitching the story, right? I think that's probably always the hardest thing to try to do to a publisher,
It's
because
just that I didn't think about it, but this one is hard to explain, to pitch, to like. Mark Vallis is here. I'm finished. Read it. It'll take you 10 minutes. You go through, you know what it is. You know, it's not the most complex thing. You know, it's fun. You get it. You don't. I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not, but it's not a hard, complex thing to pitch. This is, and there's real dialogue. There's a lot of real issues. It's happening in South Africa, and I'm trying to be legit, with that. And then it's going to end in Hong Kong, and I'm trying to be legit with that. And there's cop gangs, and there's secret Chinese service, and there's this murder investigation. She's a cop, Gunny, and there's all this stuff that I want to be legit about, but I want to be dark and gritty about too. Not too much. You've seen the colors and stuff, but I like the mix. You see my characters; they're cartoons. They're not like, I don't draw serious photorealistic.
Yeah.
But they are dirty cops. They are, they are whatever, bad people, or And I
the
like
so-called villains, as you'd say, but anyway.
But they're all kind of assholes, in their
Yeah.
own way. And as I was being told that this is an issue, I realized how much it is important to the book. That's why I was saying earlier, I'm being asked to maybe make changes that I don't know if I can make, because I really like it that they're all assholes. And it makes me laugh. It's funny, but also it's part of but it makes it a less, like, I think it's a fun book, but less fun book. You know what I mean? When you're reading it, it's okay. It's that kind of book.
But
right?
I think because the contrast maybe between the subject matter and your art style, I think, is a good way to maybe alleviate some of their concerns. Like, I would be like, listen,
Hopefully,
that
or in the
yeah,
worst case scenario, it's like, oh, this is gonna be a fun comic,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then, oh,
Well,
okay, it's dirty cops murdering. Like, oh,
well,
jeez.
like I said, visually, anyone that picks this up is definitely going to flip through it. They're not just going to walk by it and be like,
I
"Oh,
think noir
it
stories
looks
could
like
be
anything
really.
else," you
I
know?
think stories
Yeah,
like that can be fun, though. I mean, like you can
Yeah,
have both. I mean, I know it's not particularly like the most just like a blast on paper, but like Greg Rucka's Stumptown is like a really, really deep, dark noir comic that's pretty brutal, but like it is a lot of fun. It's a cute book too. You know what I mean? At the same time, like you can do that's the thing that I'm kind of not getting hung up on. You know what I mean? Like I can read a book that's about all everybody's a jerk, but like that just makes it realistic in my opinion because
because
when you get down to it, when you get in a room with the nicest person in the world, they're gonna exhale, take a breath, and just be like, "Oh my god, I'm glad that's done with." Fuck those people. You know what I mean? Like
we're all
everybody's like
jerks
that. You know what
too.
I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
yeah,
think putting the emphasis on all of us being jerks at the same time in the same room, I think it's funny. Like, not in a haha funny, but it makes me it makes me
It's relatable. It's
laugh.
like being at work. You know what I mean? It's like it's like being at the bar or wherever like you would talk to somebody in a normal setting.
And put in a bit of dark humor in there, and oh, I'm so happy. I love it.
and maybe seeing as how it's a three-parter, would you say the first volume that you just finished it up, I think last week, right?
So, well, the three-part thing is adapted.
Yeah.
Originally, I think of stories as one always.
Hmm.
I'm going to make a story, whether it's 10 or 1,000 pages. I always see it as one.
Hmm.
But after Mark Vallis, like we talked about last time, when
Hmm.
that came out, and I realized how big of a deal the monthlies were in the US. Like, I
Hmm.
knew they existed, but I didn't know it was still so big because I traveled and not followed what was
Yeah.
happening.
Hmm.
And I was like, we talked about it. I don't think I could write in 22-page books because
Yeah.
my brain doesn't work like that. But I was tempted because I really liked the idea of the episode
Yeah.
that you have a series and that every month, if everybody's doing their job properly, you get your episode,
Yeah.
and I really like that idea. And so I was thinking, what story do I do next after Mart Vallis? And I really wanted to do this one because it has a link with Hong Kong and stuff. And I wanted to do this one. It's more complicated. But then I thought, wait a minute, I can cut this maybe. And originally it was four
Hmm.
books of 50 pages. I thought
Hmm.
this, but because I can't write like that necessarily, I tried to compress, but it ended up the perfect beginning was 72 pages. And then I said,
72.
well, I can maybe, to save time, not do 4 72-page books, but maybe 3 now that they're bigger
Hmm.
books, as long as
Yeah.
I have a few episodes. But the ideal here is that everything is done before it comes out so that you get these books once a month.
Once a month. Yeah, because like we were talking off air, Image has already done that. Like we were talking about November. I think that was a 3 or 4-part series that they did. That's kind of the same idea, like between 50 to 60, 70 pages. We're even talking about Ultra Mega was the same idea. It was a monthly book that came out that was maybe 60 pages each, 50 to 60 pages. So
Brandon
Image,
Graham with
yeah,
Rain Like Hammers,
yeah,
4 or 5 books of at least 50-page each.
yeah. So Image isn't, it's not a new thing for them to put out like a bigger, chunkier story per month. Like instead of that,
They're
It's
really
getting
open.
rarer and rarer, but yeah, they used to be a very artistic label. They kind of I have like this it's called Monoplasty by James, man, what's his name? And it's just like this huge like newspaper of a comic book. Like it's a ridiculous
Nice.
size, but it's just a floppy, but like the damn thing's got to be 3 feet tall. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
ridiculous. So James Harvey, I believe, is who did it, and yeah, so like they used to take chances on a lot of stuff like that. It
I
seems like they
I,
are getting kind of complacent with just putting out floppies, though.
I don't know because maybe, But when I came in with Mark Vallis, nobody even questioned it. I came in with a weird format book, and it doesn't even fit in inches. Did you see the size in the previews? It's like 77 with 3/78 of it. Like the size is ridiculous because it was in centimeters and metric.
Yeah.
And nobody even asked me anything about that. That's the book that I made. Cool, let's make it. Like, so, like I'm thinking they're still pretty open if they're able to just take that and make it happen without even asking me if I have maybe something a bit bigger or smaller. Nobody asked me anything, and they printed the size, and it's funny size because it's ridiculous. It's like 12 numbers. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. With the decimals, yeah.
So they were. I think. Anything's possible, right? In printing, it's just if you leave the format. I think there's a set way. I think we talked about this last time too. But the American standard comic book size is that size and that many pages because that's how many fit on a sheet, right? And at the printers.
Okay, yeah.
And so that's why there's so many pages, and right, you print both sides, and they cut it so each sheet is a book.
Yeah. I remember when we did an episode on The Crow, and James O'Barr talks about that because they got their own and how they had to figure out how to make the comic that way, and there was a lot of learning.
They had to reformat it because his original breakdowns and panels, were too big, I believe, right?
Yeah, for The Crow. So they because they were just learning as they were going too, right? They just want to make a comic, so they got the big press machine to do it themselves, print it themselves, and they ran into a lot of learning, growing pains, right? Yeah. So if you read it,
a lot of paper learning. Yeah.
You read back on it, and they have some interesting stories from when they first started at Caliber Press. It's a good little fun read to look back into the
because it's not obvious. When I do my press checks, it's not obvious. You look at the sheets and everything. Like this one's upside down, but number 6 page is with number 42, and depending on the amount of pages you have, and then there's both sides, and they got to be planned because they got to cut them, and it's got to cut at the same place, and no, you need precise rulers if you want to be a printer.
Yeah. So it's fun to read back on stuff like that. But I mean, there's a lot of places you could go to shopping around. Image is a great place to land because their reputation, and like the market Image they have.
The first with Mark Vallis, it was the first. I just went to Image. They took it. Boom! It took half an hour. Done. This time I think I'm gonna have to maybe shop. I don't know. I don't want to say anything.
Dark Horse. I mean, they put out.
I was thinking that's my number 2, but
graphic novels.
Should it be my number 2 because I'm basing myself on 90s Nick?
But Karen Berger's there now. She has an imprint.
I would go
Dark
to
Horse
her
as well.
Because knowing Dark Horse, they'd be like
Vertigo. Yeah.
Oh,
he's got an imprint with Dark Horse now.
I love Dark Horse, but I could see them totally being like, "We love this, but can you make it 4 issues long?" That's kind of Dark Horse's mentality with most things. Can you make this 4 issues long?
They needed 4 issues, but can they take 72 pages instead of 22?
Well, look, what's his name's Apocalyptic Girl? That was just like one.
Yeah, they do original graphic novels. Still.
Yeah,
it's like Dark Horse. Yeah. That's not Image.
No, it's Dark Horse. Yeah,
Dark Horse. Yeah, they still do. Or they used to. Like, it's been a while since I actually seen one, but I'm pretty sure they still do.
Callie
novels.
Oh, Callie was an original graphic novel. It didn't come out in issues. Do I have that here? Yeah. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. There, I got it this week. It came in this week. That's and it's not even a standard format. Look.
That's a nice cover.
Look,
that's bigger, and that's
what they put out. That just came out this year. This released this year, maybe 6 months ago. And Daniel Friedman, Dark Horse, and Robert Samlin. So he does a lot of.
I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, a lot of movie stuff. Like he does. Yeah, he does all kinds of stuff. Comics. He works in a little bit of everything.
The
It's
color in
it's a
that book is awesome.
it's gorgeous. It is a really. Joey showed me some of it. I got to pick it up myself. It looks really good.
Yeah, it's
That's Dark Horse, huh? That's good
Yeah.
to know because
yeah.
I mean,
saw
I
it
start with
when it
Image.
first.
You know, the advantage with Image is they have the best contracts.
Mm.
End of discussion. They're
Yeah.
just the best contracts. And independent, like, what is it called? What's the official word? Self-owned and
Creator owned.
creator
Creator
owned
owned.
stuff. So that scares a lot of people in the business because suddenly you're left with a lot of responsibilities yourself and stuff. But for me, who comes from self-publishing, everything is easier. You know what I mean? Like I used to have to do everything, and now with Image, it's a lot easier. But
So look,
at the same time, they have the best contract, so it's easy when it works. You know.
this is another one that I ordered from Dark Horse as well. And
Oh,
look at the
beautiful
size of
books.
that one. Yeah, look at the size of that one. So they do, you know, they're not stuck on just doing your standard North American.
But that must have been something that they've sold a few before they got to the hardcover.
Well, this one, I don't know if this came out in singles.
I mean, maybe
might
not in
have.
singles, but they must have been a soft cover version before.
I'm not
I don't
sure. Dark Horse puts out a lot of stuff that just stays hardcore. Like they've never put out softcover versions of Polar by Victor Santos or
Oh, and those are landscape as well, so that's a different format.
And there's a couple things that I have that I've never seen available in
I'll look into that.
softcover.
I'll look real quick while you guys are chatting to see if this came out in single issues or if it was just an original graphic novel.
I'm pretty sure that thing, because that's an international thing. They got like the guy that designed Vampire Hunter D to do the art and
something Mink. What's the Mink something? I don't know what his first name is. Christopher Mink Morrison is. I guess he writes movies, screenplays, and stuff. And he teamed up with the artist, like you were saying, Yoshitaka Amano. So I think it might be an original graphic novel if I'm looking at it here.
I think
it cannot be the first printing in hardcover. Would they take that chance? That's amazing. That's nice to know that they would take a chance like that. But that looks like an expensive book to make.
I've had a couple buddies have their books come out at Dark Horse, and like as far as I know, they got printed originally in hardcover. Like my friend Eric Grissom, his book Gregory's Suicide was originally a hardcover Dark Horse, and same thing with man, what's the guy's name who did Kill All Monsters?
I'm familiar with that,
but yeah,
I'll check it out. I'll go. I haven't seen their website in a long time, but yeah, half of my books when in the '90s were Dark Horse.
Yeah.
All the Hellboy, all the Masamune Shirow books.
Yeah. Well, like we were saying on the episode, like I always thought Dark Horse was a European publisher for the longest time till I realized they're just like Midwestern, right?
I think they're in Portland now. I don't know if they come from there, but they're like
Milwaukee.
Across the street from Image, I think now.
So, if you get the chance, would you put out like a nice oversized version of Harpy?
I'm very touchy with the sizes. I like to decide the final size. I see a lot of this being done in France, actually. American comics that get translated in French, and because the format is different, a lot of the times they blow them up. And that would drive me nuts. You know, the original art is meant to be that size. Blowing it up, you're not doing it any favors. Yeah. It depends how the artist feels about it, but you know, like Mart Vallis is small, and it's meant to be small. And if it's ever sold anywhere else, it cannot be blown up. It's meant to be that size. So Harpy is meant to be standard American comic book size.
Okay.
So bigger than Mart Vallis, but I guess you could blow it up a bit. What I like about Harpy is not so much how big in size it's going to be, but how fat it's going to be. You know, if it sells enough in issues, and then we can make a book together with it, that'll be like, I'm really bad at math. 200 and what's 210, 225 pages? It's going to be a nice good chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, 225, 220s. Yeah.
I'm trying to do that in a year.
The next two, you're going to try to finish it up for the end of the year?
The goal is, yeah. Recently, I've been thinking, fuck, I got to spend a lot more time trying to push it to try to sell it to a publisher. Maybe if I am having too much of a hard time, I might have to put it on pause for a bit, work on something else, because I like to eat also.
But when you think about it, you had a Kickstarter in the mix there too. You moved, so that that probably put a dent in your work schedule a little bit. So
back
maybe
then,
now that
I've been here for a year now.
Now that you're settled, you'll probably be able to pump out a little more than.
I did 72 pages, colored text, everything finished. I mean, I have corrections to make. It was just proofread, but the most of the work I did all that in 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5 months.
Okay.
So it's a lot of work because I spend so much time. You've seen the pages on the color and the and I draw really big too, and then I shrink it, and it's about, honestly, on average 8-9 hours a day, 7 days a week for 5 months.
And that's to get the first book done, the 72 pages?
Yes, but the next two will be much faster. Comics is an amazing medium because every time you make a page, you learn something. And those 72 pages of intense work, I've learned so much. And I mean, I probably said the same thing when I finished Mart Vallis. It never ends. You always learn more. But the next book will be faster. You narrow down,
Yeah, because we touched on that a little bit. You're changing your process when you came on the first time. You're talking about how you're toying around with trying a different way, and it ended up being way longer. You thought it was going to be quicker, but it ended up being twice as long. So yeah, you were talking about how you're kind of changing your method a little bit.
Trying things.
Yeah.
You gotta speed. Sadly, it's not just about how nice it is. You want to tell a story, and if you. At the end of the day, there's always a concession to make when you're making comics, and the story must prevail. And it's really sad when you draw all the time to be able to draw something great, but the story must. If it's better for the book, if it's better for the story, to hide that beautiful thing you just did, then you got to hide it. The story must prevail.
Edit it out, yeah.
But if you hide it, then maybe you should think about it a bit smarter next time, so that you don't draw it, so you save that time, because every minute counts. Because I'm slaving away all my days like this, just to, I can ink 2 pages a day, and color. If I really long days, I can do 4 pages a day, just color. It's a lot of work. So anything that saves you time, you don't want to hurt the art, but you need to save time. So if you find a way that, like stupid stuff like the blue pens, you don't have to erase. So you just saved a year of your life from erasing, because you're doing this all the time. Little things like that, whatever works for you. I don't even use them, but there's other things that I do that you got to maximize time, and you get better and you get quicker. And if you draw every day, of course you get better. And then I like that kind of art where just the smallest detail shows the most, like, and so the more I draw, the better I get at that, the faster I ink my pages, and the faster I can tell my stories, the more stories I can tell. It's so much work that speed is important.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to, when you count your hours and put the time in and see what it comes back, I mean, the more efficient you get, the more money you make, right? Yeah, so
you can't count your hours. The only people who make comics are obsessed, sick people. There's no other explanation. It's more than love. It's an obsession. It's a sickness. I didn't read it. What did it say? Something? What did it say?
Yeah, he's checking out Mart Vallis.
Oh,
yeah. It is so beautiful. I absolutely still just adore that book. I pick it up and probably go through it at least once a month. Are
you serious?
Yeah, I love it, dude. I'm glad I bought the second image version, because I've almost worn it out. I'm glad I didn't keep messing around with the Kickstarter original, because that's kind of like one of my treasures now.
I'm really happy how that came out because it's a small little book, but I love the way it came out. Which one do you have, Joe?
I have the image one.
Okay, it's a bit smaller.
Mm.
It's the same content, but
Yeah.
the one I did, I love the object. Thanks to Kickstarter. Kickstarter is amazing.
Yeah, the finish on the Kickstarter one, it's a little nicer. It's got a little bit more grip to it. I love how that book just feels in the hands. It's not going to slip out.
Soft
You know what I
touch.
mean? Yeah.
The soft touch.
touch
Yeah.
varnish. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. When you find that Laslantis book, check it out. It glows in the dark.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it to the light, and yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
very proud of that.
That was a fun book. It's definitely. I was surprised, like, because I see a lot of this. Because I'm pretty sure you self-censor the stuff you put out on social media, right?
I have no choice.
I know.
Your stuff banned and you kicked out of.
So when I
Banned,
packed,
even on Patreon, it's
Really?
nuts. I mean, I get it. You want to try to hide the stuff because you don't want people to see. I get it. Then there's cultural. Different cultures see things differently.
yeah.
Personally, there's nothing wrong with nudity. That's just me. It's objectification that could be a problem, and you don't want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but you don't want people who don't want to see it to fall on it. You gotta kind of have a wall. I understand, not just kids, but just me. I don't want to see whatever. There's weird shit out there. There's a lot of stuff that I don't want to see. So it's normal. It's normal to separate.
Back in the Tumblr days, I found a lot of art I never wanted to see.
Tumblr was the worst for that. Like, Star Wars this, and then 5 pictures later, it's I'm not gonna describe random great shit, but we all see it.
Yeah, all you got to say is like that old Tumblr shit, man. People pretty much know.
Yeah, I got reported for the first time for sharing an image from this Italian artist. What's his name?
On what? Instagram?
Facebook. But anything I share on Instagram goes straight to my Facebook. And I don't know if someone saw it and made a complaint, reported it. But then I got a message from Facebook saying I violated the rules and agreements, terms, and all that stuff. Who's that Italian?
I used to get busted all the time. I used to work on a page there called the Cosmic Cube, and I'd post art, and like I'd always get in trouble whenever I'd post Dawn by Joe Linzer. They'd always say she was naked when she wasn't. I'm like, yeah, she's got a very nice smile, but like it's not exposed. I mean,
okay, it's Punto 66, 666. I think he's Italian, if I'm not mistaken. And he amazing illustrator. Like, he does some great stuff, some album covers and stuff. And it was like a girl who was naked, and there is like kind of like a demonic creature like just standing behind her. And it was black and white inks, and it got reported.
Yeah.
I mean, the rules are pretty strict. I think it's based on the fact that, they make their money from views, right? From people seeing it. So I think when they want to have as wide and
Facebook's really tight.
They want kids too, right? They want all the eyeballs. That's how they make money from selling.
But then
kids and old people is who they try to cater to most on Facebook.
Well, anyone, but those are the ones who have those rules, right? Like, who's going to report you? Like an old Christian, a Mormon, or a mother. Like those are the people who take the time, because they don't do it. They don't have employees going on Facebook looking at what happens. Someone else reports you, and then a robot decides that it was against the rules, and all of that is just made. But it's based on nudity. That's what I was saying, which is so dumb. I remember the first days of Instagram where they were like deleting museums accounts, and then they're like, no, I guess we could change, like, this obsession with nudity. To me, objectification is the thing that you should be making walls against, not
exactly
nudity.
Because I went on Facebook after, and a video came up of 2 young girls sitting on each other in a bikini, and the guy was doing like an airbrush picture with her legs spread, and zoomed in, and he was using a decal, and he was not an artist. It was purely gratuitous, just for damaging. Then another, I was going through these videos that had 1 million views that were blatantly like sexualized. Another one was like making a mold and they were sticking their finger in it and stuff. And like, I was like, how does this not? which was an illustration, a beautiful illustration done by an artist,
You
gets
telling
taken
me?
down.
Have you
Where
seen
this
my
guy,
account?
hey, holy fuck! I was like, this
You
guy's
think I've never
fingering
gotten
this
stuff deleted?
dessert. I was like, it makes no sense to me, none at all.
I think it's easier too. Like, imagine putting rules on that.
Well, there's a huge panic going on about like sexuality and like showing porno to kids in the United States right now. It's like a really big talking point. People are we're kind of going
Are
back
people
into,
showing porno to kids?
I guess there's a huge arguments about it on YouTube all the time. So
Okay.
I guess
Well, you shouldn't do that.
yeah, I don't think anybody thinks that that's okay, but at the same time, like it's really weird just how uptight people are
Yeah,
about
well, it's
sexuality in the United States.
yeah,
It's
because
always creeped me out because in Europe and everywhere else, there's a normal understanding that like this is just how people look. This is a way. This is life. You know what I mean? But like here,
Not
it's
to be a dick, but America has a weird relationship to sexuality. Definitely.
yeah, and it's like the definition of what is pornography. Like from one person to the next, the definition can be so
What kills me,
dramatically different. Yeah, it's
and
like
culturally, what is so bad culturally is that it's one line. You're cutting everything in two. You know, what is for adults, what is not. What is for adults goes in the back of the store with the fucking creepy guys, whatever. And that's like a Frazetta book, right? Because maybe there's tits in it with the most fucking seedy, gross, like porn, whatever. That's together because there's one line. It's either adults or it's not. And that freaks me out because there's so much stuff that under that one line rule should go on that side, what has nothing to, you know, like there's great artists that do like this guy, I don't know who this picture you got deleted.
Yeah.
If he has a book, his book does not belong next to, you know, whatever random porno mag name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
hentai.
Weird. But still, at least it's art. And
Yeah,
I'm not saying anything should not exist. I just understand that you should separate things, but this one line rule, this strictness, and yeah, I think America has I'll just say weird relationship with sexuality. It's not everyone, of course, but it's like this overbearing rule of what's correct and what's not. It's almost like all those people in the Midwest, those most religious people, are the ones making the rules for the whole country.
And when it comes to that type of stuff, it does seem that way. But it seems like a lot of people, even people that try to pretend that they're progressive here, have really overbearing rules when it comes to that type of stuff. And it's a little weird to me because I remember what's his name who did the book Carmen, Joe?
Yeah, March.
People were all up in arms about that book because the main character was nude in it, but it wasn't in any kind of sexual way. It was because
at all,
because the way she died, and it's not like he particularly ever drew her like flattering or like being
in a sexual manner. Like she was never like spread legs with her hand kind of creeping down or anything. It was all very natural.
It wasn't sexual. It was just she happened to
not at all be naked, running around like as a ghost naked. Like, I mean, there's nothing sexual at all. Zero.
I mean, a little
sexuality
bit, right?
to it. What's that?
I mean, a little bit. She's running naked. There is sexual something there, but I know what you mean. You're telling me that it wasn't enticing. It wasn't trying to provoke.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know, like,
and I mean, some of your stuff gets a little racy, but I mean, like the stuff that does, it's so over the top that it's funny. Like the Little Red Riding Hood comic that's in Active Measures. You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's another thing culturally. Like, I don't mind it, but like that these rules are so strict in the U.S. for stuff like that, like what is acceptable and what is not, and you can feel it in the culture that it's detrimental. Because when I come out, and I'm nobody, but when I come out with a dirty book, I'm selling so fast, and 97% of them are all going to the US.
Yeah, wow. That's the other thing is like these things sell like hotcakes. We talked about it off air. Like the not safe for work stuff on Kickstarter just goes through the roof.
It's because it's the forbidden stuff that people are like, oh, I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm imagining that there's. I'm not a shrink, but I'm imagining that there's a relation that it's because it's the forbidden thing that people are more interested because you can't see it anywhere. You have to, you know. But my here local comic book shop has a adult section, but it's like it's not. It's a bit higher, so the really short kids can't see it. But it's
Yeah.
not like it's not behind a curtain or in a room with a greasy floor. Or
Oh, there. I found the image, but it was black and white. Oh well.
But
Anyway, I'll send
French
it to you after so you can see it. But
French
yeah.
comics can go pretty hard though, man. Like,
there's
I've
entire lines that are dedicated to like erotic art, that
Yeah.
are published by the same. Like, there's no difference. It's not an imprint. It's just the same. It's like if Dark Horse had, I don't know, a whole series on hentai. Like when they did their mangas, and it was just Dark Horse doing it. They didn't have to hide or change the name or put it in the back of the shop or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's. I prefer it, to be more open about these things. Like I said, I think the difference what you want to watch out with is this subjectification. It's
Yeah.
not so much nudity.
Yeah, I mean, like you're gonna see people naked in the world. It's just gonna
And
happen.
you're making people ashamed of how they look, and then the only version that we can see or what is catered for us. So it's these perfect bodies to make us feel ugly. So we go and buy shit. And there's all these kids growing up in this world with. Anyways, I'm going too far with this, but you hear what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. Like it's this. It's they're controlling even the way you want to look about yourself, and there's not. And I think it begins with that. With this nudity is illegal. Or for a while there was this thing where, of course, it's stupid, but like I thought it was funny because like they would make these fake male nipples to put in front of female nipples. You see this on pictures? Not in real life, but like you Photoshop them.
No, I haven't
Of course,
seen
it's
that.
stupid, but they were making a point, right? It was like, because male nipples is fine. It's female nipples.
Yeah.
Can you tell them apart, really?
Yeah.
I guess dude nipples are hairier. Like,
I guess so. I don't know.
It depends on the guy, I guess.
I don't know. I don't have any.
Some girls have hairy nipples, man. So
I'm sure they do.
probably pluck them, but yeah.
Who am I to?
But back to your art, do you have like any like sticker sets planned? Because that's some of the raddest stuff you put out. Like it's just your single art, and like I've seen you've been really busy on Instagram with a lot of new pieces. I was wondering if you had any intention of turning those into stickers.
I should. I always think about it, but like I said, when I'm doing comics, all my brain power is on comics. And just organizing it, just even picking drawings I've already made to send them is like, it's going to take me an hour to Photoshop, to send, to organize, and then I have to pack the orders. And I just like, I do that when the funds start going down, and then I start talking that I still have books to sell, to make money, to fill up so that I can go eat. But as long as I can last, I try not to do anything because then I can spend all my time doing the comics.
Well, speaking of which, your site's back up. Clandestine, right?
Was it down?
Well, you kind of weren't selling anything on there.
The store.
The store was closed because you were moving. So until you had everything settled, so you now it's up and running again. You can buy stuff. It's been a little while there. I think it's been a few months there. You have the store back open and selling books and stuff, so people can go there.
Absolutely, get my books for sure. I'm starting to run out of a few of them actually, and I don't like to reprint, so no stress. But
and you have your Patreon too that people can join. That gives you a little bit of income there as well. So
it's a lot of work but I managed to make it fit with my I spend every morning when I go for coffee, I'll sketch a bit, and then I keep one day a week where I don't do comics. I just ink and draw that stuff that I sketched all week. And so I show everything I did on the week once a week on my Patreon, and then I have these pages of random stuff because sometimes I'm editing comic pages. It's not that interesting visually, but I'll always have cool, weird, random shit on the Patreon.
Plus, you have 2 exclusive graphic novels on there, right?
Well, you get all my digital versions of stuff. You have Mark Vallis there. You have this
So
Star
if
Trek thing I'm doing,
yeah,
and you have Magda Gamma, all
And
of
Magna
which
Gamma.
all together. I think I'm not sure. I think there's the first book is 300 pages, and the second is 400, and I think 65
So
pages
you're talking about almost 800 pages with that guy when all said and done.
of Magda Gamma. Yeah, which is great because it's the best that I could do. A mix of sci-fi, just fun, adventure it, but it is definitely for adults. It's not porn, but there are full-on scenes where they, get it on for like 20 pages. You'll see. It was just
yeah,
like just a mix of this. If I ever publish that, I will be publishing it. No
yeah.
publisher will want to touch that. But I had so much fun, and the humor is great. I had so much fun doing it. But it's over the course of from 2018 to last year, and I made 800 pages. It was 4 pages a week every Wednesday.
So it's kind of more on the level of like a classic like French sci-fi graphic novel than kind of with the hooking up and it being kind of cute and funny at the same time, like a little Valerian-ish
There's
type.
humor. The more I write loosely without thinking, the more I need these jokes, and they write themselves. And then I write these characters in that are just so amazing characters that are so easy to write for, and that just like I don't want to name drop anything because you probably don't know because it's been hidden on my Patreon for so long. But Joe, you tell me when you finish those 800 pages.
Yeah,
What you
yeah.
think
Well,
about it.
I just joined recently, so I'll go and I'll hit that up. So yeah, just to let people know, your site's called clandestinerepublic.com. So if you want to go pick up some of your books, they can go there. You have
4
uh,
active measures books. You have Martin Valis.
postcards, you have some prints. I mean, there's a bunch of
I
stuff there.
need to make
People,
new T-shirts, but I don't have any more T-shirts. But there's stuff. There's books. Yeah, the last Active Measures book. I love that. The one with the Star Trek thing in it. No.
yeah,
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that book.
So that's all there. You have your Not Safe for Work book. The Volume X is there.
Yeah, it glows in the dark.
Yeah, yeah. I just found that out today. I have to go check that out.
You have to.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna dig it out and go do that. So that's your stories on Clandestine Republic, and like we were saying before, go find the Patreon. It's under EPHK Creating Comics, I believe.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
patreon.com/EPHK. Everything is EPHK. On Instagram, you have all my links in my link tree on Instagram.
and
EPHK.
Linktree. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's a good one because if people want updates on Harpy, you put a lot of updates for Harpy where it's at, the pages you've completed.
On
Uh,
Patreon,
yeah,
weekly.
yeah. So if people want to see the progression of that, you post a lot of stuff there on it with explaining kind of your process and everything. So it's pretty cool. It's fun. It gives you a little more
Oh, yeah,
insight
from
into the
scratch.
making of the book. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's
And
a
now I
good.
just started talking about the pitching it also.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm trying to
I
get
read that. Yeah,
too, so
yeah.
hopefully that's interesting to some people too. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because I have no idea how it goes. I mean, like I just never knew that. Nobody really talks about that part of it because I think because it's such a tense situation, you know what I mean, and you don't want to those stories getting out there that you kind of maybe
Don't
I
want to
guess
jinx it.
yeah,
I
jinx
guess.
it.
there's
Yeah,
also I think there's industry secrets.
yeah, true
Like I
that.
remember the minute that Image said, "Cool, we're taking Mark Vallis," they were like, "Don't talk about it. Don't talk about anything about this." I couldn't talk about it. Signed a contract and everything. They wanted to be the one to be able to announce it and then start their promo cycle with it and whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, okay, I want to tell everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm talking about it now because they haven't taken it yet, right? So
Yeah, until that contract signed. Yeah. Yeah.
So how far into Mart Velis did Image pick it up? Like, was it during the Kickstarter or after it, or
everything was engineered. It's all because of Corona, but everything was engineered that I would have the book so that if they wanted to see it, I could give it to them. So I did the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter worked. I made the books. And then when everything was, all the orders were being packed and stuff, I was like, this comic is done, right? And then I was like, let's do this. And then I pitched it.
Because I was so happy when I saw it because like you knew I got a hold of the Kickstarter and it's probably still my favorite thing I've gotten off of there. And
Favorite thing?
yeah,
I don't go there often anymore, but every time I do, I'm like, there's not a lot of. Once in a while, there's like a little, that looks good, or there's some good stuff. But I'm flattered. Thanks.
yeah, probably my second best is Richard Morgan's Blam and Glam, and then uh, Aaron Reese's Black Blizzard. Those are like my favorite Kickstarters. But yeah, Mart Vallis, and then I remember it was a couple months after I got actually my physical copy. This guy I don't really talk to anymore, like hit me up and he's like, "Dude, check this out. This looks so cool." And I'm like, "Whoa, yeah, dude!" Like I backed the Kickstarter for that last
It
year.
was that.
Yeah, and I'm like, Image is putting that out. I was so elated because like I'm a pretty huge Image fanboy, so I was just like, they really do know their good stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember you guys talked about the book
Mhm.
before anything. Like before you invited, like you talked about the book. I saw that episode and I was like, "That's amazing! They're talking about my book." And a while later, you invited me, and then I was like, "I usually say no to these things because I hate being on camera." But you guys talked about my book.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of people get, we're pretty easygoing, laid back. We don't.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. We like to try to make people feel as comfortable as possible, and just make it fun. Hang out, shoot the shit. Don't, you know,
The
you don't
next
want to
time
talk.
you have a someone you invited who needs to cancel the last minute because they're going to the dentist, you can call me. You can call me. I'll fill
Take that
in.
spot. Yeah, yeah. We're getting a few people coming back that we had to cancel on when we took a break for a little while. So that's pretty cool that we're getting those people back on to talk about the books. So yeah, it's fun, man.
Because a lot of
So
their
far,
projects circled back around to where like they were actually getting them published. So like yeah, we missed them when they were Kickstarters, but like yeah, we got to talk to them now that their books are actually legit, which is pretty cool.
yeah,
These things take for so much time.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Well, I just love seeing how many people from Kickstarter actually are getting the boost. You know what I mean? Are getting picked up in some kind of representative way. You know what I mean? And by like good labels. You know what I mean? Like it's really cool. I'm happy to see it because um I don't know. I kind of got a little worried there for a while because it seemed like there's a kind of going to end up being a little bit of gatekeeping in comics, but it
On everything, right? If you have publishers, if you have you always got a bit of gatekeeping. I think there's no secrets in comics. You got to be crazy enough to be able to put that amount of time on it. But if you make a good comic, any publisher will want it. There's there's no real way to cheat. The only problem is it takes a lot of time and money. So with Kickstarter, you're able to see all this stuff, and a lot of it is whatever. But some once in a while, there's some amazing
Really,
stuff that comes
yeah,
out of and nowhere because gatekeeping, because they're not waiting for anybody to give them permission to make a comic. They're just doing the comic.
yeah.
And so eventually, if you're a publisher and you don't want to get left behind, then it becomes the opposite. You got to grab that guy.
yeah, yeah. There's been a few, and it gives creators just an extra avenue to be able to put their work out there. If you know, and then it gets a following, and then maybe the publishers are like, oh, maybe we made a mistake here. They realize how much interest that a certain book got, and they're like, so
It's weird.
it
I made. I'm. I would. I think I may. I think you make a bit. I make a bit more money with a Kickstarter.
mhm.
I mean, I'm just starting out, right, with Image. Maybe in 10 years I'll sell more or whatever. But right now, starting out with my weird little Martian books, I made more money with, or almost the same, or just a bit more with a Kickstarter
Mhm.
than
Yeah, that's
actual
what
sales.
I've heard that before from another creator.
I
Yeah,
definitely
but
heard from our friends that are on smaller labels than Image. Like I know, I've heard a lot of people say that they make a little bit more money or a lot more money on Kickstarter than they do being published.
The best is selling original pages.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
That is an unbeatable.
Mm.
I always keep one or two per book, but the rest.
yeah,
like your favorites.
Yeah, the first one that I ink for a
yeah,
project And one maximum depends on the book, right? Like so, Mart Vallis, there's 128 pages. I kept 3 pages. The first one that I inked, and which is the girl getting up at the cafeteria.
Okay.
So it's not the first page. I added a few pages before when I finished it, but it's the first page that I inked. And there's a spread in it. 2 pages. There's a spread that I kept, and the rest, people want to buy it. I'm humbled that people want to buy this, and then once in a while I see them on Instagram. They're framed, or some guy's talking about it on a website. I'm like, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah,
thanks so much. That's
so
great.
If people want to buy, like, let's say when your next book comes out, do you put that on your store, on the shop, or is that through DMs?
I always took care of my own stuff before. I used to, but there is so much stuff. I produce so much, and I don't have time to organize it and anything. And then after Mart Vallis came out, I was approached by Inky Knuckles.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw that, Inky Knuckles. Okay,
and best thing that ever happened to me.
So they take care of all your original stuff.
I just send them packages. It's been a while now, but like as soon as a Harpy comes out, he's gonna have stacks. The Harpy's right there. It's this fat. That's for book 1. Then there's book 2, book 3, and then he takes care of everything. It's amazing.
I mean, like, look at that. Who wouldn't want that on their wall? I mean,
I should have sent you more. I was like, this one, go.
It's cool.
But I mean, people want to see more. Go join the Patreon. You'll see all kinds.
They're all there. They're all there, and more. And from more, an hour and 20 minutes ago to 1-page Star Trek, not Star Trek comics.
Yeah.
Since we're live, it's not Star Trek. It has nothing to do with Star Trek.
Yeah. A parody, basically.
I mean, literally the only thing that I'm taking from it is those 3 colors.
The 3 colors.
The outfit, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, it's Starfleet, but it's just the colors of the show, but it's those outfits. It's those 3 colors. But I'm not even using the same species or same. Like I'm not. None of the characters, none of the names of anything. It's just those 3 colors. I'm in love with it. It's great.
But it's a 3-color process, man. That's all it is. You got the yellow, red, and blue.
But it's not. No, it's not yellow, red, and blue. It's blue, gray, mustard yellow. It's
but
I mean. I could
you could spell it like the primary colors. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but it's those tones of colors that just catapult me into Star Trek, the original series. And I just love it. I see the styrofoam rocks. They're pretending that it's heavy. I'm like, come on. All those shitty effects are awesome. I love it. The stories were so great. The concepts, the fucking writing was awesome. The theories they came up with. I love that shit. Anyways.
So, man, I just want to wish you the best luck in shopping that around. I mean, hopefully you'll hear back from Image and it'll get picked up. If not,
there was a bit of, but now we've been writing back. I'm surprised because he keeps writing back to me and telling me like, how about this? Like, I think it's not, and I decided I'm going to take 2 weeks. I'm going to rethink it. I got someone to help me edit it. We're going to rehash it. I'm going to try to make it fit what his issues are as much as I'm comfortable with. Like I'm going to try to meet him as far as I can, but I'm not going to sacrifice the book.
But I mean, there's other publishers out there. Like
exactly
the quality of the book. I mean, someone's going to pick it up. I'm almost, maybe I won't say 100% confidence it'll land somewhere, but I mean, the quality of the book. I mean, people would be stupid to pass it up.
I'd be very sad if it didn't, but I'm gonna go. If this doesn't work with Image, I'll go shop it around. That's why I was interested. I'm like, Dark Horse, of course. I'll look. I'll see, and it's the kind of stuff that they might be interested in. It's that kind of sci-fi, darkish. I don't know.
Yeah.
But worst comes to worst, it'll be a Kickstarter. It is gonna happen.
Yeah, there's always Kickstarter as.
Well, you have the whole first book done. I mean, like.
Then I got to rethink my thing. If nobody wants it and I got to do a Kickstarter with it, then I might as well just finish the whole thing. have one book. You know, I don't know. I'll see.
I'll
Right
put it
now,
one big, the full story in one
book.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll see. But I love this story. It's a great story, and it's fun, even though it's dark, but it's fun.
Can be two things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, if you're gonna tell like a real story, it's gonna have to get dark at some point.
Yeah, it's not dark, but you know, like I said, I touch serious things. You know, like weird.
Yeah.
There's like these corrupt
But
police gangs, and there's
Yeah.
some triad stuff, and
But you said like the main character is an asshole, but in a sassy, fun way, though. You know, like
is it a sassy fun? Like,
well, the way
I
she
think I succeeded in making it that like no matter how bad she is, you end up you root for her, like you want her to succeed. And then as the story goes in the second book and in the third book, then you really, of course, even more, right? You're like, okay, and she's gonna change a bit. But
maybe
she is a dick. She's a dick.
Yeah.
They're all dicks. They're all. I
well,
love this world. It's so. Yeah, it's
She looks
Maybe-
totally like a smartass in the
yeah,
panels.
smartass.
Totally.
Maybe not sassy, smartass way. Yeah, that's what I meant.
She's
Like
she's
smartass
a jock.
way. Yeah.
She's a jock. She calls everybody bro. You know.
Yeah.
People she doesn't
That's
know on the
funny.
street,
I
you know?
noticed that. Yeah, hey, bro. Then when she's chasing the guy down, why the fuck? How can he run so fast? This fucking.
Calls
you
everybody
know?
a dickbag, or you know.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's.
Yeah.
She's not impressed by anything.
Yeah, smartass. Poor choice of words when I said sassy, but more of a smartass kind of way, which, I mean, is relatable, right? Like,
I mean, sure, like it exists. It's funny that, but yeah, I think she has the mentality of a.
Well, she's a cop. She's got to act like a cop. Cops are jocks. Cops are dicks. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sadly, she's that's a good way to describe her. She's a cop.
I mean, she's probably a very likable cop. You root for her. You know what I mean? She's a protagonist. But
I don't know
at
if
the end of
she's
the day,
yeah.
I thought
She's
I read
she's
a few
bro.
pages.
She's totally a bro.
Yeah, but I read a few pages and I enjoyed her character just from the few pages I read. Like
from the pages that I sent you, or
yeah.
I didn't send you much, but
like that little interaction with the convenience store guy. You know, like
that scene I added like a little later, and I love that scene. It's just tells us, especially at the beginning. It's at the beginning of the book, and it tells us so much about her.
Yeah, like
just 2 pages.
Whatever, you know. She's like
whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wouldn't have happened if they didn't this, you know, kind of attitude, like, you know, bad luck. It's not bad luck. People put themselves in situations that cause their outcome, right? And it has nothing to do with luck. Yeah, exactly.
She's a douchebag. It gets worse. But
does it? Well, we'll find out soon enough.
But without making you like not root for her, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, still, I don't know how to explain it, but the few other people who read it, I know that I succeeded.
She's like Will Smith in Bad Boys. You know what I mean? She's like,
oh no. She's a real douchebag. She's not a good person. She has issues.
Yeah, like Will Smith in Bad Boys.
I can't process it.
Messing with you, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, kind of more like a David Ayer character, like Christian Bale in Harsh Times. You know what I mean? Where he's kind of really like a gross dude, but like you still think he's hella funny and cool in that movie. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
You never seen Harsh Times?
It's not ringing a bell. Maybe I have, and I just wasn't paying attention when I watched it, and maybe it was on in the background. I don't know.
That's probably my favorite David Ayer movie.
Oh, is that the one with the dragons?
Dragons? No.
Okay.
Dragons.
Yeah, that's one with I don't remember what it was called.
Or like I don't know. Have you seen Street Kings? Like and kind of like Keanu Reeves' character in Street Kings. I know we talked about him a little earlier. Everybody likes Keanu Reeves.
Now, everybody likes Keanu Reeves. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I trust you that it exists. I'm not saying you're lying, but I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Oh well, they're really good, like kind of crime drama movies about like these characters that are pretty detestable, but you still think they're really cool.
And now to think of it, it's happening a lot in cop stories,
Well,
right? There's a lot of cop movies where the main character is an asshole.
Well, like Denzel Washington in Training Day, I guess.
Yeah, that's another David Ayer movie.
I can't put names to things, but I can think of at least like a few examples of that. Bad Lieutenant. Oh, but that's just dark. But there's a bunch of those where
the dirty cop film. Yeah,
it seems to be that we're willing to accept cops as assholes more than other things. Is that what they're, or is it because of
because everybody's ran into one and actually
that's what it is. We can all relate. I know that guy. He stopped me for fucking speeding. I know that guy.
So we're not going to really fall for like they're like Barney Fife anymore. You know what I mean? Like we everybody's actually talked to one nowadays. So like you got to play them realistic at least a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I think, sadly, Brooklyn Nine-Nine had to get off the air. Like, no. Cops aren't funny. You got to stop. Did you see that last season? It was uncomfortable. They're like, well, cops are bad, but also we're playing cops. And that last season was just like, okay, stop. It's over.
I think I stopped watching around season 4, but I did really like that show when I was watching.
I love that show. It was so funny. But yeah, it is propaganda, right? You're making cops being funny and nice. We all know that's not true.
Well, I don't know. I know a few cops that.
Of course, I'm just generalizing, but it's funny. Yeah. It's funny because shows like that have had to stop.
But you can't let a few bad ones ruin it for the others that are good, you know? So there's good and bad in everything. Is you can't just throw everyone in the same pot and say this is like, I get the issues that people bring up and they do exist, but
we all tend to generalize for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
If you say all, whatever, do whatever, you're always wrong. Of course.
You'll be wrong every time. Yeah.
Everything's gray. Nothing's black or white.
No. And that's what people have a hard time understanding.
I'll tell you what, man, this weekend I was just so thrilled to get these screenshots from Joey for the show, man. Like I am so excited for this book, been so hyped for.
That was yesterday. I was supposed to do it Saturday, and I was like, fuck. Send here, those 4.
Yeah. Well, that's all right, man. I mean, I saw a few things you put up, the black and white, like your ink pages that you posted. You posted a few of those. So,
well, if you want to go digging on the Patreon, everything I do is there.
Yeah, everything. I saw. I just went through, I think, your last 3 posts. So I saw maybe a little over a dozen pages, almost 20 pages.
And there's like 1,000 posts, more than 1,000. But eventually, you'll get to a point where I was doing Magna Gamma every week.
Yeah, okay.
Which was until from 2018 till the middle of last year. Mm-hmm. And then it was a different format. And then every page of Magna Gamma is a post.
Are there any plans to do that in physical? I know it'll probably be a little while because you want to have an exclusive for your Patreon, but
it's it's not even for that. It's already old. I'd love to do it. It's just it would require so much editing. I wrote this thing 4 pages a week for 4 or 5 years. It would require so much editing that it would be like a full-time job for a few months. And I just do not have a few months of a full-time job to do it. I want to do it. I will do it. But right now I need to concentrate on news stories, get some stuff on the shelves of your comic book shop so that I can,
You worked on the Gorillas art book, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. When I was in Berlin.
Yeah, what did you do on that? What was it? Pinups, or did you do a story? Or
no, I did a spread. They said anything, one or a few pages. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll make a spread. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm really happy with what I did. I totally overdid it. Like it took me a month and a half. Those are 3 panels that I painted that are huge.
Okay.
Like it had to be a complete hit. Not so much for the Gorillas, but because what's his face? Hewlett. And
Hewlett.
The Hewlett.
In fucking person on Instagram, dude. I like your stuff. Do you want to work
wow.
on the book? I'm everything dropped. I was like, yes, of course, yes. Well, whatever. I didn't even, it wasn't about money or anything. It was like, yes. And so when it was time to do it, I was like, it has to kick ass. It has to be the best thing I've ever done, you know. So I did these.
So
It took me a month and a half.
I would love to see you do Tank Girl, man. Just saying.
That could be fun. Oh, Ashley Wood did Tank Girl, and that was great. I like that.
Do you have those pieces still, or did you sell them?
No, I still have those.
You still have those ones? Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff
Well,
like
they're
that.
huge, like you said. That probably.
Yeah, that's not unsendable. It's not. I would totally like sell it. It's just you can't ship it.
You have to put it in a box more than like just like.
It's like A2. I don't know if you know what that means, but it's big.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3 of them. So.
Cool.
Was that for Z2 Comics? The Gorillas book.
So yeah. So it wasn't. I guess they just took over the project and yeah. I'm. It's fine if it's. How can I put that politely? It's totally fine if I never work with them again.
Okay.
But it happened like it was supposed to happen. It was probably one of the worst contracts, just in the vocabulary. One of the worst contracts I've ever signed. But you know, it wasn't for them. I didn't even know they were in charge of that or whatever. It could have been anybody. It could have been a worse company than them. It's Hewlett writes to me personally to ask me to be part of his book. Yes, I don't care what the rules are. You know, I had to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine if I never work with Z2 Comics again.
No.
Damn.
So you won't be yeah, safe to say you won't be pitching your book to them.
Hey, you know what? I'm one of the luckiest illustrators in the world right now because I don't need these jobs.
Yeah.
I don't need them.
Yeah.
You know, the only reason I'm doing this is to make my books. I have stories to tell, whether they want to publish them or not. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do them anyways. I want to tell my stories, and I don't need all these bullshit jobs. You know, I'm not saying they're all bullshit, but there are a lot of bullshit jobs out there, and they're underpaid, and they're the worst, and they're douchebags, and I don't need them, and I can say no to them, and I can go on a live show and say it's fine if I don't work with these guys anymore. I don't care. They can put me in all their black books. I will never need their money. I don't want it. And I'm lucky enough to not need it, so that I can just not be an asshole about it, but just be like, no. And
choose what you want. Yeah, exactly. You know,
it's not just that, but a lot of the time, especially in the comic industry, we look back at people that were mistreated. Like, you know, you look at like how Kirby lived his life and how fucking Wallace Wood killed himself and all this stuff, and all these people. It's all based on their art and how they were underpaid and you know, like the horrors that Marvel and DC imposed on their artists for decades. You know, I don't know how it works now or whatever. I hope it's better. It has to be better, just legally. But you know, these contracts are so shitty, and then these people are making money saying, "Oh, we got to respect our artists better," whatever. They're the ones doing it. You know, those things when people are furious to learn how Jack Kirby was dealt with, you know, how his originals were kept, how he was paid pennies on his pages, how he was poor most of his life, and with all the work that he did for them. People are horrified by these rules, and then you look that they're doing the same fucking shit now, you know. So maybe it's not as bad now, but you know, giving those contracts are made to rip you off. Companies are ripping off artists today now. So you're not allowed to be upset at how Jack Kirby was treated if you're okay with it now, you know, if you're part of it now, you know. And if you're being abused, it's differently. But if you're supporting companies in a way that are doing this now, then it's the same fucking thing. That's what they were doing, you know. Like, so to be able to say this publicly, you have to be financially okay, you know, because of course they're the ones paying. But if you're lucky enough to not need that kind of dirty money, then you should go out and say it.
One thing that helps a lot, I think, was artists retaining the original art. So like you said, you can sell it after it kind of subsidizes maybe the lack of pay you get for working on a book if you can sell the originals. You know,
I learned about that existing late. You know, like when I learned that artists weren't even able to keep their pages, that I learned about that late. It's just,
Yeah.
that's insane. And how
Yeah.
much they were paid, and still today the page rate. I mean,
It
sure, it
isn't very good.
accumulates,
Yeah.
but the bigger companies pay the shittiest pages. Like I don't know how much Marvel and DC pays, but it cannot be that high. It's got to be a bad contract.
When I looked into it in the last 10 years, I think the page rate might have dropped instead of gone up.
Insane.
Yeah.
And
then it seems to me, or it stayed the same, or even you get a little less now than like 10 years ago.
And before you sign the contract, you probably have to sign an NDA never to show the contract because the contract is so fucking filthy. Yeah. That's horrible. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be upset if all these people that were abused by these companies. If you're okay with it now, it's the same fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how these companies survive, by stealing.
The big ones, for sure, yeah. Like, and they're the ones who can afford to maybe, pay a little better. But like you said, I think what they do is they pay everyone a little bit, and then when someone hits big, that's when they fork out the big money, and they just, pay the bigger names a little more to keep them happy, to keep them there because they're selling the books, and everyone else kind of gets a short end.
Usually, it's just a rule that I've seen in so many different worlds, but the bigger, the less they pay.
Oh, yeah.
The bigger the name, it seems the worse they treat you. Like they tend to like to try to make their own big names, or they take like people that are like mid-level in the industry and try to spin them into big names.
You're monetizing their clout, I guess.
Okay.
Like you want to get published with us? Yes, you do. It's going to look good on your, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Manny was saying. Yeah, when I looked into it, in the last 10 years, the page rates, some companies it stayed flat, and I think even other ones it's gone down a little bit, the page rates. So
what was that? 10 years? That's ridiculous. But
it's crazy.
But then what's the minimum wage in the US? It's nuts.
$15, I think, right?
I think. The federal is like $7 something. No, what is that? What's that number? Federal minimum wage is $7 an hour.
Depending on, I think, it depends on where, I think.
I hope there's differences for sure.
Yeah.
But that's nuts, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not an easy discussion to have with people. I mean,
empires are built on the sweat and torture of these people who had who were ended up in a tragic situation that they loved something so much that they were willing to do it for less money. Everybody I think who works for Marvel and DC work there because they love those comics, they love these stories, and they want to be a part of it, and they accept that they are being abused so that these empires can prosper. And it's just, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not for nothing, eh? Disney bought Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had a huge reputation for abusing their artists, their creatives, their artists. Yeah. So
Disney Animation had that reputation, right?
Yeah.
It was like you went there if you wanted to.
So they figured if they bought Marvel, I mean, they wouldn't really have to change their business models. So
for sure.
It's already built in.
It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. The perfect marriage.
They leave the whip at the same place. It's next to the artist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, man, Harpy, hopefully we'll hear some news coming soon in the next month or so. Hopefully you'll get some news back on that. And we'll be able to see you posting some good news, hopefully, within the next month or so. Keeping our fingers crossed for you because it's a beautiful book. It looks great.
I think it's worth it. It's really cool. It's weird, but I think it deserves to be printed.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It needs to exist.
Your work is definitely, I think, print worthy. I mean, anyone who looks at it, I mean,
one more time.
Yeah.
You really anyone like who sees it. Yeah. Hey, everything I do, it's like it's an obsession. It's not healthy. Like pour everything I have into it. It's not to impress anybody. It's because I fucking love that page because I'm doing that page, and I need it to be the best thing it can be. And,
well, just know that it is impressive. I mean,
it comes through on the page for sure, definitely.
I mean, look at the detail, like all the little
I can't wait to see these
ribs
printed.
on the pipes and on the tubing and all the ribbing on the seats. I mean, I draw. I know how hard that shit is to put in there, man, and how easy it is to avoid putting in there. You know what I mean? You could just draw like, a solid chair.
Yeah, you can't dodge anything. You got to go through all the for sure.
So, man, if you want to see more stuff from Nick, known as EPHK on social media, go to his site, clandestinerepublic.com. Go buy his books. Support him on Patreon. He weekly posts of pages, sketchbook stuff, doodles. He posts at least at least 10 pages a week, close to that, from either your sketchbook or the books you're working on.
Everything I do in the
both.
week,
yeah.
Comic book pages and doodles and sketchbooks and random stuff.
So he's also a great follow on Instagram too. He a lot of good original stuff.
I don't post as much as I used to on Instagram, but I'm still there.
You're pretty active on Twitter as well, I think, almost.
I tried once a day, and then that died. I just don't. I don't have the energy.
You get busy. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to go on Twitter nowadays, man. Like I can't do it. Yeah.
Also, all I'm doing is my comics, and I don't want to show the pages. So what am I showing? I'm showing old stuff all the time.
Yeah. So Math Valis is still available. You could get it from your comic shop. Have them order it. Amazon, wherever. That book is widely available anywhere. Wherever they sell books, you can order it. Yeah, exactly.
Even bad ones have it.
Yeah.
Even bad comic book shops.
You can order that one on his site, on Amazon, at your comic shop, at a bookstore. Just go ask them, order it, pick that book up.
Scream in the street. Yeah. Someone will have it.
That's available. And all his other stuff's available on his site as well. So
I'm an available kind of guy.
Yeah. So, man, once again, thanks for coming on. It's always great to have you on. Fun chatting.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Let's do it again in less than a year.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that I'm doing better, and Joe's doing, Joe's the busy one nowadays. So but we'll definitely have you back on. Maybe do a music episode with you. I'd like to pick your brain about jams, because I know that most of my artist friends all are very heavily influenced by music when they're doing their arting, and I'd really like to get into your brain at one point about like what you're bumping when this
when
comes
I do
to
stuff
life.
Like this.
Yeah.
It depends on what kind of drawing I'm doing, but yes, there is precise musical choices for every part. Yeah.
So that could be a lot of fun. I'd really like to do that at some point. So
let's do that. Yeah.
And on Friday, we will have another interview. It will be with Mr. Matthew King of Tales to Enlighten fame.
Yeah.
And he might be bringing...
Ask him about it. We have a beyond possible, I think, plausible project together.
Oh,
nice.
Cool.
Hell
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see how that fits. I mean, just looking at his normal book and like our friend artists who have worked with him already. So yeah,
I've never worked with anybody like this. This would be my first time, but we connected with this idea, and I would love to do this with him. It'd be a lot of fun. It's just always about time, but ask him about it. I think it could happen, and it would be a lot.
So it's nice. We're getting this like little connection between creators now that are coming up, and
a little convergence.
Yeah, we've got some Patrick Kidlin coming up next month, and you were talking about that off air earlier. So yeah, man, we'll have to pick all these guys' brains and see. Maybe something will come of it.
A lot of good brains.
Yeah. So yeah, man.
I mean, so who doesn't want their book to look like this, man?
Yeah.
I should have sent you more pages. Oh,
the ones you sent are fun. I mean, like. I mean, maybe some of your action would have been cool, but like beggars can't be choosers. I'm just happy to see this. You know what I mean? Like I know that I've been flashing that a lot, but I'm just impressed with the tiling and.
That's the first page I inked. So that's the one.
So that's a keeper.
You're keeping? That's a keeper. That's a good keeper.
Yeah,
that's a nice one.
That's a keeper.
That's the first page of the whole story. I love it. It opens up and you're in a diner and there's this weird thing in the diner eating noodles. I love it. It's a good
Oh
start.
yeah.
Some guy in a futuristic SWAT outfit or something.
Yeah. Some
It's,
guys just
I won't
Paul
spoil it.
Thomas Anderson movie.
You'll see.
So I just want to thanks everyone that came into the chats and hung out with us. We appreciate it. So man, we'll be back on Friday, 9 p.m. our usual times. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks again for Nick for coming on, and hope
Go
to
buy
see you
some
all
of his
on Friday.
stickers.
Yeah,
Go buy his stickers right now. Once you see them, you're not going to be able to turn them down. His stickers.
Everybody loves stickers. Yeah.
His stickers are incredible.
Yeah, they're big.
Thank
nice
you.
big ones. Yeah.
Later,
All
y'all.
right. Have a good week, everyone.